My sister-in-law threatened to take my unborn child using her fake sorrow, so I made sure her grief became very real. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm Emily, and you need to understand something about my brother Daniel's wife, Melissa. She discovered her greatest weapon the day she lost her first pregnancy at 8 weeks. What started as genuine sadness quickly twisted into something darker. A manipulation tool, sharper than any knife. If someone dared question her spending habits, Melissa would clutch her stomach and whisper, "How could you be so heartless after what I've been through?" If anyone in the family shared good news, she'd bolt from the room, crying that their happiness was reopening her trauma. When Daniel asked her to pitch in around their townhouse in suburban Milwaukee, she'd collapse across the leather sofa, wailing that stress could cause another miscarriage. The manipulation snowballed, from tears to complete family destruction. First, Melissa got our mom's 60th birthday celebration cancelled. Mom had planned a beautiful garden brunch at the Grand Ashton Hotel, with soft pink peonies and champagne toasts. But Melissa claimed that pink flowers reminded her of the baby blanket she'd never use. Instead of celebrating 6 decades of life, Mom spent her milestone birthday sitting in Melissa's dim living room, stroking her hair while she sobbed into tissues. The spiral only got worse. When my cousin Laura announced her long-awaited pregnancy at our family's July 4th cookout in Cedar Glen, Melissa's face twisted with fury. She screamed that we were rubbing fertility in her face, and claimed even seeing the ultrasound photo triggered a panic attack. Laura, humiliated and guilty, hid her entire pregnancy. She gave birth to twin girls that most of us didn't even know about until they were 6 months old. Then came the Mercedes incident. Melissa had her eye on a $7,000 silver C-Class. Daniel, a practical accountant, said it wasn't in their budget. So she staged her most dramatic act yet. At Hampton Mercedes-Benz in Brookfield, she threw herself across the hood of the car, screaming that Daniel was destroying her dreams of motherhood by denying her a safe car for their future rainbow baby. The sales staff froze in awkward silence. Daniel, red-faced and humiliated, signed the paperwork with trembling hands. But Melissa saved her cruelest act. For my wedding. I had dreamed of a spring wedding with white tulips and soft ivory linens at the Lakeview Botanical Garden. Melissa called every vendor. The florist, the caterer, the photographer. Claiming my flower choices would trigger miscarriages. She even posted on bridal forums under fake names, branding me as a monster who mocked grieving mothers with fertility symbols. When I refused to change my May wedding date because it was too close to her loss anniversary, Melissa told relatives that my selfishness had caused her to lose twins. Not one baby, twins. And with each retelling, the lie grew more elaborate. I thought I had seen the worst of her manipulation. I was wrong. What Melissa planned next would shatter everything I thought I knew about evil. 4 months into my own pregnancy, I'd kept my secret from everyone. Except Melissa. She noticed before anyone else. The ginger ale instead of wine at dinners. Skipping sushi nights with Mom. My constant excuses about food poisoning. She watched me like a hawk. Like a predator. And at their housewarming party in Wauwatosa, when their golden retriever Duke jumped on me, I instinctively placed my hand over my stomach. It lasted only seconds. But Melissa saw it. Her smile turned ice cold. Later in the kitchen, she cornered me. "Congratulations," she whispered, sliding dishes into the dishwasher. "When are you due?" I froze. Tried to deny it. But she already knew. October, she guessed. Listing off all the little signs she'd been collecting. Then she added, "Don't worry. Your secret's safe with me." The way she said secret made my skin crawl. From there, everything spiraled. She showed up unannounced at my apartment with prenatal vitamins. Sent me articles on birthing classes with notes like, "Thought you might need these." It felt suffocating. But I convinced myself she was just being supportive. I was so wrong. The real nightmare started at my 16-week checkup at St. Mary's Hospital. Out of nowhere, Melissa appeared beside me in the lobby. She linked her arm through mine and said, Big appointment today, right? My blood ran cold. How do you even know I'm here? I whispered. Her grip on my arm tightened. Her laugh was soft. But her eyes were dangerous. I care about you. I care about both of you. And then, she made her proposition. You'll tell everyone you're carrying a baby for me. As a surrogate. You'll give birth, hand the child to me, and finally, I'll be the mother I deserve to be. I actually laughed at first, thinking it was a sick joke. But Melissa's expression didn't change. She was serious. Dead serious. When I refused, she pulled out her phone and showed me fabricated texts. Fake conversations where I'd supposedly mocked her miscarriages. Called her barren, told her to buy a dog. They looked real. Terrifyingly real. Who will believe you, she whispered. When everyone already pities me. That was the moment I realized. Melissa didn't just want sympathy. She wanted my child. Melissa wasn't just circling like a vulture. She was planning to take my baby. But she made one critical mistake. She showed me her cards. I forced myself to stay calm. Even though every nerve in my body was screaming. I need time to think about this, I told her. There's nothing to think about, she replied coldly. But I'll be generous. Tomorrow. Noon. Starbucks on Lake Drive. We'll finalize how you'll announce your surrogacy gift. After she left, I sat in the waiting room, trembling so hard the nurse asked if I was okay. Instead of going home, I drove straight to Daniel's accounting office downtown in Brookfield. He smiled when I walked in, but the moment he saw my face, he asked, "What's wrong?" I closed the door and whispered, "Melissa tried to make me hand over my baby. She wants me to pretend it's hers." At first, he looked blank. Confused. I showed him the texts. As he scrolled, his face drained of color. The lies about me mocking her miscarriages. The threats to ruin my career. The demand that I give her my child. "These are from yesterday morning," Daniel said slowly. "Yesterday morning when she was with me at the furniture store, picking out kitchen chairs." The realization hit him. She was plotting to steal his sister's baby while smiling next to him in Williams-Sonoma. 3 days later, Daniel decided he couldn't keep pretending. He chose Mother's Day, Melissa's favorite day, to turn into her personal grief festival. The whole family was gathered at Mom's house in Oakwood for her honey-glazed ham dinner. Melissa was already preparing her usual act of fragile suffering. But this year, it wouldn't go as planned. I arrived late. 7 months pregnant, my bump impossible to hide anymore. I wore a fitted navy dress on purpose. No more oversized sweaters, no more hiding. The moment I stepped into Mom's sunlit living room, the room froze. My cousin Laura nearly dropped her mug. Mom's hand flew to her chest. But Melissa's reaction was chilling. Her eyes locked onto my belly with raw hunger. Then she clutched her stomach and gasped. "Oh God, seeing this is triggering my cramps." Classic Melissa. Already turning my pregnancy into her trauma. But this time, Daniel stood up. "Actually," he said firmly, "I need to tell you all the truth about Sarah's pregnancy." The room fell silent. Daniel pulled out his phone and began reading aloud. Melissa's fake texts. The blackmail. The plan to force me into giving up my baby. For the first time in over a year. Nobody comforted her. Nobody rushed to her side. Her mask cracked. "You don't get it," she screamed, voice shrill. "Sarah doesn't deserve that baby. I do. I've suffered more than she ever has." The room erupted. But Melissa wasn't done. Her eyes darted to the kitchen. In a flash, she lunged. I heard the metallic scrape of the knife block. And before anyone could stop her, she spun back toward me. Clutching an 8-inch carving knife. "That should be my baby," she shrieked, charging. Time shattered. Daniel tackled her just as my cousin Laura yanked me backward. The knife slashed through empty air where my stomach had been seconds earlier. "Call 911, Mom screamed. The scene was chaos. Shouting, glass breaking, Melissa thrashing on the floor with Daniel wrestling her hand. And then The sharp crack of Mom's palm across Melissa's face. The room froze. "How dare you," Mom said, her voice trembling with fury. "How dare you threaten my daughter and grandchild in my house?" Melissa's sobbing turned shrill. "I'm bleeding. I'm miscarrying again," she wailed. But nobody moved. Nobody believed her anymore. The police arrived within minutes. Melissa tried her usual performance. Claiming hormones, claiming trauma, even saying the knife was for self-defense. But the evidence was undeniable. The fake texts. The family witnesses. The video Laura had captured on her phone. Melissa wasn't the victim anymore. Daniel filed for divorce. Melissa faced charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. In the end, she took a plea deal. 3 years probation, mandatory psychiatric treatment, and a restraining order keeping her 500 feet from me and my baby. Even in court, she tried one last act. She wept to the judge about desperation and longing to be a mother. But the judge cut her down cold. This wasn't grief. This was calculated manipulation and abuse. "You're lucky you aren't in prison," Daniel later told me. "Living with her was like living with a ghost. I kept thinking I could love her back into being real." 3 months after the divorce, word spread that Melissa had moved to St. Louis, already dating a new man. Feeding his family the same sob story about miscarriages and cruel in-laws. Different stage. Same performance. "I gave birth to my son, Noah, on a crisp October morning at St. Mary's, the same hospital where Melissa first tried to claim him as her own." Daniel held him in the delivery room, tears running down his face. "She almost stole this," he whispered. "She almost stole him. Mom barely left my side. She showed every visitor Noah's pictures like she was making up for years of stolen celebrations. Now Noah is 3 years old, full of energy, calling his uncle Uncle Dan, with no idea Melissa ever existed. Sometimes I catch Daniel watching him play, and I know what he's thinking. About the terrifying alternate reality where Melissa succeeded. But she didn't. Her fake grief became real loss. She lost her marriage. She lost her family. She lost the audience for her manipulations. In the end, the best revenge was letting her destroy herself with her own lies. And that is how everything unfolded. If you've stayed with me through this story, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, I'd love for you to tap the like button, it really helps more than you know. And if you'd like to hear more stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe, and maybe even turn on the little bell, so you'll always know when a new one is ready. Until then, I'll see you in the next story.